Howdy, folks. I'm Mary.
I'm Amber.
And here's a little lamb. Amber is shaking her head no.
Here's some death.
Here's some death?
I was reading Mary the Summoning.
Oh, Mary the Summoning. Mary had a little lamb, a little ham, a little egg on toast, a little potted roast. No. Still no for Amber. Our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My In-Laws Exactly Where My Husband Was When I Was in Labor? I gave birth to my son 10 weeks ago. I went through an exhausting period while I was nearing my due date. I was experiencing discomfort and wanted my husband by my side when I went into labor, but he'd go out every night to hang out at his friend's place and watch football games. I suggested that he play/watch football games at home just in case, but he was having none of it and said he wanted to attend a games night with his brother and friend at a place along with his buddies. He said that they had certain, how shall I describe it, rituals when watching a game, and he can't enjoy doing it at home or anywhere else. Rituals? What are they, sacrificing people? Sacrificing people to the football gods, or he's having an affair. The night of our son's birth, my water broke while my husband was at his buddy's place watching a game. I called him and told him to get home and take me to the hospital, and he said he was coming, but didn't. I ended up calling my sister, she lives nearby, and she took me to the hospital. My husband showed up 2 hours later after he kept calling to ask if I was still in labor and that he was almost done watching the game.
Sounds like a real winner.
No, I actually hope his team lost. He was able to make it on time for our son's birth, but I was furious with him. Mad and disappointed, he apologized profusely and has been working on regaining my trust and respect for him after what he's done. He's otherwise very supportive and involved in our son's care. Last night, I was at my in-laws' house for dinner and we were talking about my son's birth. My husband suddenly started recalling what happened that night and basically started lying about driving me to the hospital and waiting and feeling stressed out and standing on his feet for so long without food or water. I was confused and said no, none of this was true, none of this happened, and in fact, he was watching a game when I went into labor and I wanted him to drive me to the hospital, but he didn't show up till 2 hours later. My mother-in-law, who takes no junk from anybody and whom everyone fears, lost it on him, yelling at him and asking if that was true, and he kept quiet. She started berating him left and right, telling him to sit down and shut up when he stood up to argue with her, and then told him to stand up when he was sitting to argue. Everyone was laughing at how she basically treated him like a boy in trouble. She kept saying, "Shame on you, shame." She kept saying, "Shame, shame, shame on you. This is not how I raise my children to treat their wives. Jordan, you are a disgrace, and I'm disappointed because of what I heard about you." He literally swallowed every bit of his mother's berating, and I didn't say anything till we got home, and he went nuts saying that I made him look neglectful. A bad husband and a father by telling his family where he was, and I shouldn't have said anything, but I argued it wasn't okay for him to lie and play hero in front of his parents. He said I just caused a rift between him and his family and asked if I was happy now. I would be. Am I the jerk? Should I have not said anything? Edit. To say that he's done similar things in the past since he's a major enthusiast of football and hockey, but I didn't expect it to get that far. Also, it's not our first baby together. We have a 4-year-old son. Alright, OP. I have a little bit of a theory on this. I know I said it before. I'm guessing that these rituals may be a little bit more like he's cheating on you. I don't know. Also, like, what did he expect? Like, was he expecting just to be able to lie and get away with it? What a ridiculous thing. Like, what happens if your sister had said something? Like, that would have been basically showing that he was completely discredited. Like, unless he had covered his bases and talked to his sister and been like, "Hey, I'll slip you 100 if you don't tell our parents that I wasn't at my child's birth," then this was eventually going to come out. So I don't know what he was thinking here. So yeah, I don't know. What do you folks think? Let me know in the comments below.
Very much not the jerk.
Not the jerk, your husband thought a football game was more important than you being in labor. He looked like a neglectful husband and a father because he was being neglectful. If he wants people to think better of him, then he should change his behavior. Yelling at you shows that he's not sorry and would rather blame you than accept the consequences of his actions. Exactly. Yes, saying I caused a rift really struck a nerve in me since I love my in-laws and treat them as my own family. My mother-in-law is a stand-up woman with a big heart and she treats me as a daughter to her, and so I thought keeping her in the dark about what truly happened was not wise, especially since she always tells me to come to her for help and advice. Yeah, your husband just needs to grow up. Alright, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for kicking my husband's sister out for leaving a fake pregnancy test in my bedroom? I'm a 33-year-old female and my husband Adam, a 36-year-old male, came back from his month-long trips days ago. My in-laws live states away and my sister-in-law, 20, was staying with me since she got kicked out of her dorm. Adam and I got back from the airport at 7 p.m. and my family came to visit. Adam went inside and the bedroom and started unpacking while I was in the kitchen with my mother. I suddenly heard Adam shouting my name. He told me to come upstairs ASAP. He sounded very angry. I went to meet him in his bedroom and I saw him holding a positive pregnancy test in his hand. I was dumbfounded. He began questioning me, saying he found it inside my sock drawer. He asked, "You gonna explain to me what this is doing here?" I was speechless from my shock as I understood what this might have looked like to him, and I said I had no idea. It wasn't mine and I never seen it before. He kept telling me to explain how it got there if I never seen it and it wasn't mine. My family heard the commotion and tried to intervene, but Adam locked the door. I freaked out because I literally had no idea what was going on. Adam just said he wanted me to be honest. I said he had the right to be mad, but I knew nothing about it and had no explanation. He said mad doesn't even begin to cover it, and then suddenly started putting everything back in his bags, and he was going to go stay with a friend till I came up with an explanation. He unlocked the door and fell on my family waiting. His sister showed up and asked what was going on, and then started laughing and asking, "So was it really positive or not?" I was stunned as she proceeded to say that she planted the pregnancy test in the drawer as a prank and that everyone should calm down. She was like, "Brah, chill, have you ever heard of a fake pregnancy test? They're pretty telling." I was livid. I screamed at her for asking how she thought that was funny and if it was okay to humiliate me in front of my family. She tried to justify it by saying it was her boyfriend's, who has ASPD by the way, as a way to bring laughter to the atmosphere, but I told her that she was no longer welcome at my house after what she did. Adam took a seat to calm down, watching us argue as my mom got involved, asking me to take it easy. I insisted that my sister-in-law pack and leave right then, and she started crying and apologizing, saying that she had nowhere to go and begging Adam to do something, but he didn't. I called her an Uber and she had to leave. Mother-in-law heard and started calling me, shaming me for kicking out her daughter like that. I told her what her daughter did, and she still said my reaction was over the top and that her daughter was being naive and is a kid. She said that we're her family and I should consider taking her back, but I said I wouldn't. Edit, I was too confused by Adam's reaction and have a feeling that he was in on the prank too based on how serious he was being. Mom thought the same thing, and I wouldn't be surprised since A, he remained quiet when I argued with his sister, and B, he always does pranks with her and sees nothing wrong with their behavior. He actually thinks that she's funny. I don't know if I'll ever be sure about him taking part in her prank. Edit. Adam and I have struggled with infertility on his side because of his health issues. So that added to my anger and it seemed like his sister was being cruel and insensitive. Alright, OP. I have a theory about this. It seems to me that your husband put your sister up to this, and that he was in on the prank, and he did it as kind of a way to figure out whether or not he could trust you while he was away on his business trip. Now, it wouldn't have made any sense for you to have stored a pregnancy test in a sock drawer, and being gone for a month isn't really even all that long, so there's a good chance that you could have been pregnant after like he left. So I'm really not sure what this would have proved anyways. It wasn't like he was gone for 9 months and then showed back up with a positive pregnancy test or something like that, you know? So to me, this seems really peculiar because I don't know why he would immediately jump to the idea that you had been cheating on him if you'd only been gone for a month. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts here. I really think that this was something that they probably orchestrated together, and if this is something common behavior that they have. And I think this was just to test to see whether he could trust you or not, which is very manipulative and very bad. So, I don't know. That seems like where this is going to me. What do you folks think?
Opie's not the jerk, but husband and sister are.
Info, I'm distinctly uncomfortable with your husband's reaction. It's hard for me to focus on what your sister-in-law did after reading how he treated you aggressively enough that your family came to intervene only for him to lock the door so they couldn't. That matters far more in terms of bad behavior than what your sister-in-law did. Though yes, that was jerk behavior. Could you seriously take a moment to consider whether you're okay in that house and in that relationship? Because I'd really be concerned for anyone I knew that told me this story. Yes. Alright, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my dad that he's a child for refusing to deal with my sister's first period? I'm a 20-year-old male and my parents are divorced. My mom is 43 and she lives about 2 hours away from my dad, who's 46, and his fiance, who's 26, and my sister is 11. This weekend, I visited home and stayed with my dad and sister. I get home at around 7 in the morning and see my dad off to work and sister off to school. At around noon, I wake up to a phone call from my mom telling me that I need to go and pick my sister up from school. I ask her what's going on, and she tells me that my sister started her period and left her go bag at her place. I say okay, get in my car and lay down some stuff and start heading towards her school. On the way there, I get a call from my dad and I'm told not to worry about it and to go home. I'm told that my dad's fiance will take care of it after she gets off work. I tell him that I'm not busy right now and I can go get her. He tells me that I'm a man and I don't need to handle it and I should let a woman handle a woman's problems. I'm kind of dumbfounded, but hey, if his fiancée is on her way over, I get to go back and sleep for the rest of the day. I ask how long till she be there, so I can keep my mom in the loop, and he says these exact words. She gets off at 3, the school will give her some new pants for the time being. Which is crazy, right? Right. I tell them that's ridiculous and I'm gonna go pick her up. He legitimately tells me no and tells me to turn around. I say I'm going to get my sister and hung up before he argues. I get her. I ask her if she has any feminine products at home and she says no. So I take her to the store and buy her some pads and some tampons of different flows. And I got her some of the foods that my girlfriend wants when she's on her period. We get home and I tell her to wake me if she needs anything and I go back to sleep. Hours later, I wake up to banging on my door. It's my dad and he's yelling at me for defying him and taking care of my sister. He then tells me it's disgusting that I bought her stuff and that I'm her brother and I shouldn't be involved with her sexual health. I tell him that he's being ridiculous and then he tells me that I need to never do things like this again. I tell him that he's acting like a child. He goes off and kicks me out. So I pack up and go to my mom's, where she tells me that I shouldn't have said what I said even if it was true. Even my girlfriend tells me that I overreacted and I shouldn't have swore at my dad. Am I the jerk? No. Your dad was acting like a child. I mean, maybe the language was a little over the top, but if your dad is just acting completely unreasonable in this situation, why shouldn't you be able to help your sister in her time of need? This is ridiculous. So no, you're not the jerk. It's 7 a.m. and sister is at school with an unexpected period. Fiance is not coming home till 3 and dad is complaining because you helped her out. I would love you as a son or brother. You did everything right and I bet she did appreciate this. Not the jerk for what you said to your dad. OP replies, period happened around noon. She left for school at 7:30. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for deleting my friends' wedding photos in front of them? I'm not really a photographer, I'm a dog groomer. I take lots of photos of dogs all day and put them on my Facebook and Instagram. It's my thing, if that makes sense. A cut and a photo with every appointment. I very seldom shoot things other than dogs, even if I have a nice setup. A friend got married a few days ago and wanted to save money and asked if I would do a shoot for them. I told him it's not really my forte, but he convinced me by saying he didn't really care if they were perfect. They were on a shoestring budget and I agreed to shoot it for $250, which is nothing for a 10-hour event. On the day of, I'm driving around following the bride as she goes from appointment to appointment before the ceremony, taking photos along the way. I shoot the ceremony itself, and during the reception, I'm shooting speeches and people mingling. I started around 11 a.m. and was due to finish around 7:30 p.m. Around 5 p.m., food is being served, and I was told I cannot stop to eat because I need to be a photographer. In fact, they didn't even save me a spot at any table. I'm getting tired at this point and kind of regretting doing this for next to nothing. It's also unbelievably hot. The venue is an old Veterans Legion and it's like 110 degrees Fahrenheit and there's no AC. I told the groom that I need to take off for 20 minutes or so to get something to eat and drink. There's no open bar or anything. I can't even get water and my 2 water bottles are long since empty. He tells me that I either need to be a photographer or leave without pay. With the heat, being hungry, but generally being annoyed at the circumstances, I asked if he was sure, and he said yes. So I deleted all the photos I took in front of him and took off saying that I'm not his photographer anymore. Honestly, at that point, I would have paid $250 for a glass of cold water and somewhere to sit for like 5 minutes. Was I a jerk? They went right on to their honeymoon, and they've been off social media, but a lot of people have been posting on their wall asking about photos with 0 responses. Alright, OP, this is a tough situation. I mean, I certainly think that maybe deleting them was a little overboard, but I honestly can't blame you here. They were acting completely unreasonable. You were doing them a favor. You were doing them a favor by doing this for so cheap. So, why they didn't provide you with a plate of food or water or anything or rest is beyond me here. This was pretty ridiculous for them to be like this, so I really can't blame you for being so upset and angry and wanting just a glass of water at the end of a long day. If you had been a photographer and done this, that might have hurt your photography business, but since you're a dog groomer, this probably won't end up hurting you because no one's really asking you to take photos for 10 hours a day as a dog groomer. You're just taking, complimentary dog photos, it sounds like. So I honestly don't think that this is probably going to impact you that much. So, yeah. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk at all. You could have risked your health and they treated you like garbage. Like seriously expected her to work for 8.5 hours without food, with little water and no break. While, let's be honest, she was doing this as a favor and not for the money. How did they think that this would go? OP should tell her side of the story before they come back. They're going to spin this and make OP sound evil. That actually is probably a good advice. Alright, our last letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my husband that I will stop locking the bathroom door when he stops barging in? My husband has been barging into the bathroom lately while I'm inside, and for no reason at all. I tell him that I was going to use the bathroom, and then a couple of minutes later he barged in and asked what I was doing. Like, he already knows that I'm in there peeing, etc. It's not like I was taking too long for him to be worried. I told him I don't like how he barges in like that. He said it was no big deal and that he was checking in on me when I've only been in there for 2 minutes. I'm a private person. Like any other human, I don't like being walked in on in the bathroom, so I asked him to please stop barging in and respect my privacy. He said, fine. Well, yesterday he did it again. Literally barged in after I said I was going to use the bathroom and went inside for a couple of seconds and then walked out. I followed him and had an argument with him about how he kept disrespecting my privacy. He brushed me off, so my next visit to the bathroom, I locked the door. 2 minutes later, he was about to barge in, but didn't know that the door was locked and yelled outside if I locked the door and why I'd locked it. I kept him waiting till I was finished and then walked out and told him why I locked the door, and it's because of his constant barging and repeated violation of my privacy. He laughed sarcastically, asking, "Are you being serious right now? I'm your husband, for goodness sake. Why are you acting like I'm your roommate and locking the door?" I said because of his behavior, and he asked me to please stop locking the door as it was hurtful for me to do that to him. But I told him that until he stops barging in, I wouldn't be leaving the door unlocked. He got mad, called me unbelievable, and then stormed outside to smoke. No, OP, you're not the jerk in this situation. Holy cow. This is either some kind of power game that your husband's playing, or, he's suspecting you of doing something dishonest while you're in the bathroom, or any number of things here. Why he's not respecting, or is this some kind of he gets some kind of gratification out of this in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I don't think that you're the jerk here. You gave him a reasonable request. You asked him, please stop barging in on me, and he kept doing it. So, yeah, this is completely rude. You don't do this. You respect people's boundaries. You set up a reasonable boundary, and he keeps violating that very, very reasonable boundary. So, no, you're not the jerk. This guy is a little scary with how he's acting. That's just my thoughts. So, anyhow, take care and good luck.
Ryan jiggled the bathroom door handle on me.
Oh, yeah, so we had talked about this story beforehand, and while Amber was using the bathroom, I jiggled the door handle on her. I didn't open the bathroom or anything, but she was very startled by it.
Yes. I started screaming practically.
Not the jerk, it kind of reads like he's trying to catch you at something. Your boundaries are more than appropriate. Yeah, this seems super weird to me. I'd maybe somewhat understand if OP was a recovering drug addict or something, but this seems abnormal. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.